Literally, nobody talks about this. I never thought about these things. This is better than all the top YouTube experts. Holy shit, thanks. These are all comments on a now deleted video that just might hold the secrets to you unlocking millions of dollars online. Today, we're gonna unearth these secrets. You see, the man in this video is named Brett Malinowski. You've probably seen him before. I mean, he just exploded to almost 500,000 YouTube subscribers and gets millions of views a month, so it'd be kind of hard not to, but I promise there's a side of him you've never seen. Because the world has seen Brett go viral talking about AI, SaaS, and more, but I've known Brett for a long time, 6 years to be exact, and I actually met him because he was directing my old music videos years ago, but that's a story for a different time. Anyway, in the past 6 years, I've seen Brett go from recording videos in his parents' basement, seriously, to becoming one of the biggest YouTubers in the entire space and bringing in over $5 million. The thing is, despite Brett being one of the smartest creators on the internet, like this dude could literally teach a goldfish how to go viral and make money, I've never seen him sit down and talk about how to go viral online and how to properly build a massive audience. Today, I'm making sure that changes. Because in this podcast, I got Brett to break down exactly how anyone can go from 0 followers to building a cult-like audience that wants to give them millions of dollars. But more importantly, I got him to outline all of the mistakes he sees people making so you can grow your personal brand faster. Guys, this is info you're not gonna get anywhere else, so be sure you drop a sub on the channel if you like the video. And without further ado, I present to you Brett Malinowski. How do I grow an audience?
With YouTube, there are so many people trying to do this now. And so many people try to look at other big content creators and match, I call it math versus physics. So a lot of people are gonna try to do the math. They're like, okay, Brett made this video, he used this type of editing, he explained it this way, used these words, I'm just gonna do that. And then you have all these like 17, 18-year-old kids that aren't really understanding, and they're just making a script trying to pattern match what these people are using. When instead you need to understand the physics, and you need to actually understand the underlying story of your brand and make sure you're expressing lessons in the most unique way that's true to you. And so that's like the super philosophical right answer. Like, you have to make sure you're making content that is congruent with your life and then matching the actual setting of your scene to match that. Now, that's easier said than done, and that's learned through years. But the only way I've ever been able to stand out, I've started 5 or 6 different YouTube channels in my life. And the difference between all of those getting no subscribers at all, and then the one that I have right now, was catching trends. There's a very small time frame when there's an absurd amount of demand for information on this new trending technology, but no content on it. And so that gap is an opportunity for you, even if you have 1,000 followers, to make a video and that can get 100,000 views. But that's not gonna happen in any traditional saturated market.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk about this because most people don't know your whole story, but I've known you for what, 6 years now? And I've watched you do what you just said like 3 times now. I remember whenever you first started your YouTube channel and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna start making videos. And then I called you like a month later and I was like, dude, I was like, do you have like 50,000 subscribers? You're like, yeah, man, I don't know. So let's talk about the beginning of your journey. How did you first start your personal brand?
Okay, so I guess this YouTube channel.
Yeah, this one.
The NFT wave was like literally what I caught. And so I was just trading NFTs, having a blast, living my life for like 2 months, just enjoying that space and really just participating. And then I was a part of a project and they were doing really well and I've really felt a part of it. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do my part to help this project. So I'll start making content because there's no content on how to buy these on YouTube. No one really understands what they are or how this whole game works. And so I made my first video teaching people how to buy an NFT on YouTube. And that had got more views than any YouTube video I had posted, any of my music videos, anything I'd made in the last 5 years. And so this was like a sign that I should just keep making content. And so I just made a new educational video every single day for 2 weeks. And then every day I would just wake up, subscribers doubled. And I went from 0 to 10K in 2 weeks. And that's just a clear sign that there was a growing interest in this topic, that I had been experiencing crypto, blockchain. I've been in this space for like years, so I understood the technology. A lot of people are getting interested. Nobody was making content on it. And so a lot of that was luck and timing, because I was not consciously thinking about like a trend strategy. I was trading these, having fun, made content. And so I always do, learn, teach as I go. So that is my overarching strategy for my channel, is I do something, figure it out, learn it, teach it, and then just go on my channel and tell people exactly what I figured out live as I'm going. And so that definitely opens you up to like looking dumb and making mistakes, because you don't know things are going to work out. But I think it's just a much more organic way, because if I'm learning something and I think it's the right thing to do, other people can benefit from it as well. Even if I'm wrong in the long term, you just learn and make it bounce back. I don't know.
100%. And I think what's less important is like what the specific topic of those videos were, because as we'll talk about in a second, these trends change all the time, right? What was more important was the execution. So you said, okay, maybe there's a little bit of luck up front, but you said you do and then you learn, right? Which means you look back and now you know what it was that allowed you to have that initial success. So if we were to break down the key components of what separated you from a sea of other kids in their parents' basement, as you were trying to blow up on YouTube, like what do you think were the key pillars that made you blow up so fast?
I am self-aware enough. Like, I am very good at making content. I am a content creator. Before I ever had a personal brand, you were like one of my video clients essentially. And so we had shot a lot of videos together. I was shooting videos for 3.5, 4 years, and I was just obsessively learning, taught myself everything on YouTube, how to edit in After Effects, all the different storytelling elements, set design. I had spent 3.5 years just doing that full time. And so I had that understanding of how video worked. And so I could shoot my videos, I had nice equipment, I had nice lighting, I could edit them immediately myself that day. And so I was very fast, and I understood all of the science of making a good shot, putting the camera angle slightly lower to assert yourself as an authority, all these little details that Hollywood uses to transcend messages in movies. So my whole job is to just survey what is being consumed by the people on the internet, what is interesting information right now, and then learning as much high-level information I can on that topic, and then synthesizing it down into the most easy to understand way for the everyday person. And so make sure I'm paying attention to what people are interested in, then spend 40 to 80 hours learning about that topic, which I just love to do. I'd rather do that than work all day, and then synthesize that into a digestible way where you clearly explain to people how it's good for them, and not being self-serving in your content, not using all these extra words to make yourself sound good. A lot of people, whether they're insecure or they see other people do it, they try to use these big words or talk about how successful they are to compensate, and the audience doesn't care. They just want to learn what they're there to learn. And so it's how can you say the most information in the fewest words possible, in the simplest words possible. And that's how you get the best views.
It's like ego elimination.
100%. It's not about you. That's my thesis. Now there's other personal brands or like comedy podcasts where people tune in just to listen to that person, but that makes sense. But I'm an educational entrepreneurship YouTuber. It has nothing to do with me. I am just the vessel in which I can help people understand a concept quickly and easily. And that is why I think my podcast does well so fast. I think that's why my content does well now, because I don't use any fluff. I'm just I sit down for like a week just to write one single script. And what is the best way I can explain this one topic without convoluting or conflating things? Like, being on camera is a skill. Facial expressions. You always make fun of me when I say this, but it's so important. Like, if you view it like musical artists, dancers, the more facial expressions you have, like how enthusiastic you are. Every big TikTok girl that's huge, if you watch Bella Porch, she has the most viewed TikTok in the world, and it's her going like, and it feels so weird, but it's something about us that we're drawn to it. The facial expression. Facial expressions, your hand motions, the more you can say to help convey what you're saying. Like, look over here, I don't have to see the future. That will go a long way. But people aren't thinking like this. It is a form of performative art in a way. So you're kind of just like a musician, but you're educating people. You're trying to be entertaining, because it gets really boring to sit here and, even if this is the smartest guy in the world, he's like, yes, I use these new algorithms with the AI models and they're open source. Like, you just don't want to listen to it. And so being conscious of the entertainment factor is actually what I probably lead with when I coach people in the background.
So if I want to become a content creator or an influencer, I don't have to try and become a celebrity, and I should actually kind of be doing the opposite.
I think that you have to be so self-aware of who you are. And there's even like subconscious things. It's called physiognomy. If someone looks at you in 3 seconds, they have their first impression. And this is just like a basic survival thing for humans. And there's just something about the way you look, your facial expressions, your stature, how you hold yourself, what the background is. Within 3 seconds of someone clicking on your YouTube videos, they will think they know what you do. You don't have to say a single word. They will make an assumption. And so if what you are saying does not match the background. If you say, hey, I made $10 million this year, but you're living in a literal RV and it looks like it's beat to shit, people will just automatically not trust you. Even if you're like the most humble guy living a modest life, there's something off. And so it's all about congruence. And so this is what I mean by self-awareness and true to yourself. Ask your friends, what do you think I'm naturally good at? Or when you think about me, what do you think I do? And just start getting this feedback from people. And then start understanding, okay, this is people's general first impression of me. Sam Solik is really popular right now, and everyone thinks it's like some meta of raw, authentic content. It's not that it's raw, authentic content. It is that is so true to him, his way of communicating, what his mission is. He has so much conviction in what he's doing, and then that camera style matches his lifestyle. He's not some multi-millionaire trying to show off into the world. He's just focused on winning this one competition, doing this one thing and being the best at it, and he feels like an everyday guy. And so recording on an iPhone in a car for 45 minutes layers into that.
Right.
Where if he had high production, it wouldn't work, even if it was the exact same content.
Right.
So it's the congruence.
Right. If Sam Solik was making videos about how to make $10 million,
100%.
then he would immediately be discredited as soon as you saw the background and what he was being shot at. So does my identity and my knowledge and my life experience align with this image that I'm trying to recreate because I look up to these people, right? Which is why, again, we get this like sea of YouTube videos that are like, how to make $1 million. By the way, my net worth is $1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Or how to grow a brand and you have
and you have no followers.
Says it all the time. It's funny. So I think Iman Gadzhi's like a literal icon.
Yeah.
And I think I've been watching his content since I think he was 18.
Yeah.
Like I've been watching his content forever, and just seeing that's how I learn all this, because I've seen him do it where he wasn't overstating what he was doing. He was literally just extremely honest. I'm trying to make my first $10,000 a month. And he has that documented, talking about what his goals are, how he's going to get his mom out. Then he did it. And then he levels up and keeps layering on this authenticity of what he's doing at the moment. And then he's really learned the game, and now he's kind of made himself a full-on celebrity in a sense with this PR strategy, and it's genius. And so I just find a lot of respect in the fact that he was able to stay true to himself with high integrity and then continue to grow the brand without really changing the business model. But he's been so authentic to the core that he has years and years of receipts.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else that should be teaching 18-year-olds how to make their first $10K a month than that person because of that backlog.
Yeah.
And so it's not that he is making how to make a $1 million, how to make your first $1 million, and it's just going viral because he has the right editing. Obviously, he has the tightest storyline. He's using the best psychology in the first minute and a half. It's like a master class of psychology to get you hooked, to get the urgency, to get the scarcity. So he studied these games, but he read all of those books on camera 5 years ago.
Right.
When he very first started, he was a really awkward kid on camera, stuttered, was saying really long, drawn out stories. Now every word is dialed in, and his body language, his facial expressions, the way he sets the tone, the background music, it's perfectly congruent. And he's created like this, not this character, but when you think of him in some way, and now he's self-aware of that and can play into that. Even though it's still authentic, he's so hyper aware of who he is that everything matches, if that makes sense.
Well, it's like when you get the Rolls Royce and you actually have these achievements, then we get the expensive backdrop, then we shoot it on the nicest camera, then we have violins playing in the background because it's real.
Like just us being in this room, people are automatically going to maybe take this conversation slightly more seriously. We're not trying to flex or show off, but it's just there. Where if you and I both said, hey, we made over $1 million last year, we could be lying. We could be like 20-year-old kids, and people, whether they consciously think that or not, will feel it in the way you talk.
Right. But I think that it almost exudes through the camera as well. Like, I don't think it would feel the same and be as convincing if we had just rented this as a set for an hour to shoot a video, as opposed to like it just happens to be where life has sort of taken us at this stage and we're shooting here.
100%.
You know what I mean?
And also, a lot of our success has been documented very publicly. So it compounds. That's why 8 years later, people that watched Iman 6 years ago fell off for 3 years. Then they come back now, and now they're like even a bigger fan. They're like, oh my God, like I stopped watching you, but look how big you've grown. Going. And they felt like they were a part of that.
100%. So this is very clear to me. We have to be true to ourselves. You can't skip steps. And you have to create content that is compelling because it's about what you are actually doing, which is why I think a lot of the times the most important thing to do is to turn inward whenever you're trying to figure out how to make good content. But the other key thing that you mentioned, the other big pillar, is understanding trends and understanding to get ahead of things. You've done this masterfully, but I'm curious. if I'm remaining true to myself, not just trying to replicate what other people are doing, how do I do that at the same time as getting ahead of trends and sort of being in front of the next wave?
Yeah, so you anchor your channel to one general topic, right? And so when I made my channel, it was mainly about NFT education, because that was what I was interested in right there. But at the same time, I was always running businesses in the background. And so our main business is a development agency. And so from the content game side, I am incentivized to get as many views and subscribers as possible to then funnel people into the business on the back end. And so my job is to make as good of content, as helpful as content, to attract the largest audience and to help those people. When AI came around, there was a ton of overlap. All the NFT people were talking about AI. No one's making content on AI right now. ChatGPT just came out. It's going mega viral. All these AI apps are going off. Let me just go watch all of Sam Altman's podcasts. Let me go read all of the blogs from Hacker News, all of the archive research papers, and then condense all of the complicated information, because engineers are great at building product, but they are horrible at understanding how to convey information to everyday people. And so I'm like a translator and explain why it's good for them and the opportunity for the everyday person. With every new trend, I can do that while anchoring it all to a software development agency. If people want AI software, you got it. We're going to build you your AI software. If you want Web3 software, we can build Web3 software. It's no different of a product on our business side. And so my personal brand is just, what are people interested in? Let me get the best information, spend 2 weeks consolidating it, and then share it with people in a 10-minute video. And that's valuable.
The anchoring thing is super interesting, right? Because that I think is the key to making sure that the authenticity piece is there, right? Like, for example, Hormozy made a video that went huge during the AI trend as well, but it was like AI
for business,
because that says anchor, right?
Exactly.
So the framework that I'm getting from you here is essentially like, we have to be cognizant of trends, we have to be getting ahead of them, but the only way to keep from getting sort of like swept up into this crowd of imitators is to be sure that I have a strong anchor, i.e. like a skill or an interest that is real, that is easily visible in my life, right? For example, if you watch a Hormozy video, okay, business is his anchor. If you look at his videos, like everything about them like exudes business, because it's actual life. So you're taking these new trends and you're contextualizing them in a way that is anchored to what you are good at, and then you are taking all of that, and instead of getting on camera and spending half an hour self-aggrandizing and telling everybody how smart you are like, no, literally, how do I use as few words as possible to make sure that anybody who watches this video doesn't click away because they're like, oh my God, I am actually getting exactly what I came here to see. Cool. But here's the natural next question is, how the hell do I find these trends? Like, how do we get ahead of them?
So trends, you don't have to like spot them. You don't have to like predict the future. Like, it's pretty obvious when you see one, especially like the big ones. It's just how quickly people don't like to change. Humans do not like to change. And a lot of people, back to the identity thing, they will spend weeks or months arguing with themselves about, should I do this or should I not? Should I stay to this type of content? But if you can just eliminate that and say, hey, my goal objectively for this business is to maximize views, then you can get over that much more quickly, because it's about speed. And so obviously you can look at research papers, like scientific research papers. When there's a new technological breakthrough, they get really popular in the research community. Then that'll trickle into like the technology enthusiasts, Hacker News, and you'll start seeing those start to rank. And so you'll see this trend pick up. But then it doesn't really matter, because those people are a really niche group of technical, really smart people, and it needs to go mainstream for it to be a trend. And so if it's going to be a trend, Google Trends. Like, that's super easy. Use YouTube search on Google Trends, because that's where people actually go to learn when they're interested. So use YouTube search, Google Trends, and just start looking at these future technologies. That's my niche. That's why I do that. But those, usually every big trend is based on a technological breakthrough. So if it's a new technological breakthrough, it's an opportunity to make money, and anyone can participate, that has the potential to be a trend. And so there's always one happening, and you can usually see it, but it's about speed. Like, you cannot think if this is the right thing to do. It has to be very clear. My number one metric is if a YouTube account with like a few thousand subscribers makes a video and it gets 100, 200,000 views, there's a big disproportionate in the subscriber to view count on a specific topic, and that's happening on a few accounts. Make content on it immediately, because if there was an account with 500,000 views, they would immediately rank. But since a 2,000 subscriber channel is ranking in YouTube SEO, YouTube's the same as Google SEO. If they're ranking, then that's a very clear opportunity that if you make better content or just a slight different topic on that same subject, there's a ton of people interested.
You know what's interesting is it doesn't have to be about technologies. If you were an artist, you could use that same strategy to figure out what genres of music people are searching for and get ahead of that. Like when these new genres come out, or if you were a gaming creator, you could use that to figure out what games people are searching for. And like when Rust became big, these games became big. So it's not just for an entrepreneurial creator.
Like that's why I'm saying, like, if you're going to be a content creator, it is your full-time thing. And if you were trying to be a content creator and run a business, the content has to be the focus, and then the business is built on the back of it. And so that's why I found my partner, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So I gave up half of my company, but now I can spend 3 or 4 hours every single day scanning YouTube, scanning Twitter, and learning. It's like my favorite thing to do. And so literally half of my work day is watching YouTube, looking at what people are posting, looking at what's being talked about in the comments. What is helpful to people? What are they interested in right now? And then spending all of the time learning, condensing, creating the content. So it's not really something that you can just half-ass at this level, because there's a lot of money on the line. Like hundreds of thousands of followers is millions of dollars in attention.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of similar to trading in a way, where it's like by the time you see stock, crypto, whatever, hit the timeline, like it's too late. So if you're deciding what to make videos about by just watching popular YouTubers, like they've already gone through this process, which is digging like a level deeper and understanding that it takes studying. And that's something that I want everyone watching this video to understand, is like you see the end result, but like you grind this stuff. Like it's like studying for school almost.
I love watching Iman, because if you read the same books that these people have read, you can start seeing where they learned it. And so on the outside looking in, you think it's just words. You think this guy's just like telling you a story, but you realize that these, like, every other sentence has a very specific psychological principle that's in the perfect order, that's been studied 1,000 times for you to take action. It's not unethical. It's just persuasion and being knowledgeable. And I always say, poor people guess, rich people know. And so if you actually have studied this, you know there's actually a method to it, and then you learn that YouTube is a skill. The thumbnail, there's a reason that we're always putting ourselves centered, looking at the camera, because when you scroll the home feed and you see someone looking at you, you feel obligated to click. You feel like this is a person looking at me. You don't want to be rude. Like that's what you feel like. And so there's like methods that you learn over time. And so YouTube just becomes a skill that you're learning over and over again. I know how to make a video that gets 100,000 views. And yes, it helps that I have like a seed audience now, but even if I had a new channel, I'm very confident I can make another video that would get 100,000 views, because I've studied all of these little details that go into making a video worthy of 100,000 views.
Go read some Robert Cialdini.
100%.
Yeah, a great book. This is a really great conversation, because in the same vein that we're talking about, like staying true to yourself and making authentic content, you can say all of these things because you've done them. Not once, not twice. We talked about the first and second wave you rode, but now you've grown one of the biggest entrepreneurial podcasts on YouTube in like a couple months' time. And I want to dig into that a little bit as well, because everybody loves podcasts. Everybody wants to start a podcast. How did that come about, and how did you figure out how to do that in a way that didn't just immediately get thrown into the sea of like a billion Entrepreneur Bro shows that are out right now?
Yeah, so this is probably the most like happy I've ever been from creating content and seeing that work, because I had a very clear thesis going into it. I think a lot of people come up with a podcast like, yeah, let's just get our friends, let's have a conversation. We're interesting. Everyone has that ego. They think they're great, and that people just are going to naturally want to listen to them. Where I was not thinking about that at all. I was thinking about, okay, I watch podcasts all the time, and it gets very frustrating, because I'm at this point where I'm making like few $100,000 a month consistently, but that was really hard for me to get to that point, and I've made so many mistakes. But there's no real content on the $10,000 to $100,000 a month leap. And if there is, they're usually a course that's like high ticket, which is totally cool. I love courses. But if you watch podcasts, the everyday person, if they're starting with a podcast, they're either going to go for two different types of people, like the Shopify billionaire CEO, because that's really high leverage, really flashy. It's going to attract a lot of people in their mind. But what you're getting is how'd you make Shopify? They're 15 years in. It's a $1 billion company. They have 50,000 employees. Yes, you can learn stuff, but it does not apply to a person making 10K trying to go to 100K. They have so many people, you're just getting philosophy, and the answer is always culture and systems and processes. And I'm like, what are systems and processes? What is the process? Like, break that down. So I would get frustrated there. The other one is you get people with large audiences. So podcasters would bring on, I love Luke, but podcasters will bring on Luke all the time because it gets a ton of views. And their hope is that, okay, I'm going to make a podcast with this guy with the big following. His audience is going to watch my podcast, and then their audience will stay and watch me. That's very egoic. That's very selfish in the podcaster's position to try to get guests like that just for that reason, that you're going to grow your audience. So I had a completely different approach. I want to learn how businesses actually work, and I want to get it from entrepreneurs who are actually doing it right now. I don't want to hear someone who's running $1 billion company. I want to learn someone who just figured out how to make 100K a month in the most modern way. And so that was my thesis. There's a gap in this type of information. And then when I have a conversation with the person, it's not about where do you grow up? It's not about what's your background. Your product as a podcast is your specific line of questions. You see me tweet that. It's something that I think is so important, because if you do follow a big person and they do go on 10 podcasts, if I go to one podcast about Alex Hormozi and they ask him, what did you do? How did you get here? How did you make the business? And then you go to another podcaster, they ask the same questions. As an Alex Hormozi fan, I'm off. So that actually hurts you. Now, it might introduce this person to your new audience, and the guest might be incentivized for like a PR run, but I don't think that's what it should be. I think your brand as a podcast should be, if people want to learn this side of a person that they follow, they go to your podcast. So if you know that someone's coming on my podcast, like if Alex Hormozi came on my podcast, you would know exactly what you would learn from him. I would ask him how his funnels work, how he actually made Gym Launch, how he actually was able to do it step by step and go extremely in depth, because I also run a business and know what questions to ask. And so when I'm recording my podcast, I don't have to do any research, because I just know what their business is, and then I'm just going through step by step. How much money do you make? What is your business? And then we start from the scratch. How does it work? How do you sell it? How do you make the product? And we go through every single question. Then from the viewer's perspective, I say a lot of things that might be like funny to you and me. Like, he may say something, I may make a quick joke. I think it's hilarious. Everyone might think it's funny, but it doesn't serve the purpose of my podcast. So I will cut out anytime there's like little human moments between us. If I ask a question at the beginning and then he ties it back in at the end, if it's better to actually learn those things back to back, I will ask the first question, I will cut the very end out and move that forward. And so I have my editors cut the whole 2-hour podcast, and then I go through it and reorder it. So I will move like probably 20 different pieces around, and this is the best way to learn the business model step by step.
Yep.
And so I record a 2-hour podcast, probably only an hour, 15, hour and a half will get posted, and it's usually never in the order. And then we just hide that in the cuts of the 3 cameras.
Yep. The video I shot with Dan at your office, it's a completely all cut up and out of order.
It's about your podcast thesis. So I knew what questions I was going to ask. I knew what range of people I was going to talk to. I realized that wasn't being covered a lot. So I saw a gap in the market. So, but then the problem with that is the way those people are getting views is by using a big person's name or a billionaire CEO. And so how is that going to attract an audience? And so I learned that it's not about, if you were doing a podcast with someone has no name, why put their name in the title of the podcast? And then why would you list this person's name and then the things that you talk about? That doesn't excite anyone, because there's no brand awareness for that person's name. And so instead we just changed the title to like a 40-character 5-word expression of what they've accomplished, making millions at 21 years old, from idea to $11 million chocolate brand in 5 months with no followers. And it's like, what are these objections that someone would see it? They would say, okay, that could be an interesting story. That sounds interesting. But at the same time, if they doubt it, how can you overcome that objection in the title? And then matching the thumbnail to the title by conveying those messages very concisely. And so that is like a super conscious thing you have to do if you're trying to win YouTube. So that is number one, content side. I just want to throw that out there, because there's so many layers to each step, the packaging and everything, even your idea creation.
But you said something that I will admit confirms my bias about the question that I'm about to ask you, which is, as you described how you're going to form your unique product, your line of questioning, and really how you were going to pick who your audience was. What you essentially described was you were creating this for yourself. And I am of the mind that is the best audience to choose, right? When I'm thinking about what audience can I create for? Well, the person to whom I am best conditioned to teach is myself 5 years ago, because I know that person very well. And I know that there are a lot of people just like me. So how are you thinking about choosing an audience as a content creator in general?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I don't think that's with my strategy. I don't think I actually have like a great personal brand. Like if I go on a podcast, we'll see how this one does. But if I go on a podcast, I don't think people are as like attached to me. So like a weakness of this strategy is I don't like not like an animated character where Iman is like full on celebritized himself and he's like a flashy guy that you like want to follow his life, whether he's teaching you business or just sitting in a Royce or whatever. So it's not something that I worry about. I just sit there internally. My whole thesis on life is the more you can make decisions based on your intuition on how you would do things, the more unique you're going to be, because how humans learn is you're constantly taking in information from the outside world and then mimicking it. And so everyone's trying to look at the outside, that one worked, I need to copy and make something different. Where if I can just sit there critically, like I'm going to make a video on productized agencies. How can I make the best video on productized agencies that I can explain in my way? And then how do I make the video with the editing and the animations match the best way I can think of delivering and conveying this information? And so for some of my videos, I'm doing pen and paper and I'm drawing out charts. Some of my videos, I'm doing the 10-minute flashy, showing all the different ads we run, the copy we run, actually how we show our results, what we've done. And so every video is different because I'm approaching each one individually on how the best way I think I can teach that one topic. How can I make the best video on this topic that will rank number 1 on YouTube? Was that the kind of the question you asked?
Yeah, just choosing who your audience is going to be for that video.
I am an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur.
Right.
My dad and I's conversations our whole life were always like, how did that business work? This would be fun. And we just would sit in the garage my whole life. And my dad and I would just like think about other people's businesses, try to figure out how it works. And so that's like a natural thing to me. And so this is just, my YouTube is just I don't know the word commogulation. I don't. You're a big word guy.
I don't know, combination.
Yeah, that'll work. Combination.
Conglomeration. There's a word
conglomeration.
For it. Yeah.
Conglomeration of, or culmination. Whatever. Doesn't matter. We're trying to use small words. Combination of video experience for 4 years, where I learned all the storytelling, how to make videos, and then my dad and I's natural curiosity and interest in entrepreneurship. Like I'm just a business nerd. And so that is exactly what my channel is. It's true to me, where a lot of people will just look at that and think that the content is what works, when it's just true to my core, my individual expression of ideas.
Yeah. Like I can.
It's probably horrible advice. I feel like if I was watching that, I'd get mad.
No, it's not horrible advice. Like I can look at LeBron and be like, oh my God, if you go dunk a basketball, everyone's going to love it. You become famous. Except I can't dunk a basketball. I'm not LeBron. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and you'll see with the people that are the best in industries like that, there's always like they're good at everything. And there was like these combinations that made them a perfectly congruent person. It's not like there's some people that are just the best at shooting, but then they're really slow. They really struggle at dribbling. The people that are the best like had these like natural congruent
skill sets,
that combined perfectly. And then they separate even like the person that's the best and the person that's 10th. There's a huge difference.
100%. I think this is really good though. I actually think this is a really efficient framework for how should I create content, right? How can I begin growing an audience? How can I make videos or pictures, anything that people want to click on and pay attention to on the internet? But like I know that everyone wants to make money. So once I've created a channel or a brand that's beginning to garner some attention, how do I actually use it to make?
It comes down to what you are good at and what you like to do. If you're like a solopreneur, which I do not recommend at all, but if you are, then it's like selling. I think selling courses is one of the most valuable things anyone can do. I think that information is the most valuable piece of whatever asset. I'm going to say it's an asset. Like if you're at war and you're fighting at someone and you have a spy and you find out that they're going to attack from the left at 2:30 p.m., you win the war off of that information because you can make a better strategic decision. And so having info products and paying for courses has been one of the most valuable things for me. How I learned video editing, how I learned all this influence, how I learned social media marketing, how I learned everything in my life is an online course from someone who's doing it. And so if you're going to make an info product, you have to earn the right to sell a course. Like you can't just like sell a course. Like we were making content on NFTs. And we traded NFTs, then we made a project, launched smart contracts. And so we were able, once we had done that, we went through the hard part of learning it ourselves across hours and 20 different websites. Then we can just condense it into one. And so that's valuable for people. And then again, I think courses are a great business. So we continue to do things learn it, and then teach it. And so now the whole no-code SaaS thing's popping off. But that was 18 months of us transitioning from hard code to trying no-code, and then learning all of the different mistakes, making all the mistakes, learning all the best ways to do it, to then launching our own no-code SaaS, to now we have the right to teach people. And so it's just striking a chord. Is this valuable? Yes. Don't overcharge people. Yes. Then sell a good product that actually teaches them something by putting all the information in one place. So I think courses are great businesses, and they are very ethical, and the most important part of the internet is to learn things. Yes, we learned everything by ourselves for free on the internet, but it took us 18 months. Now you can do it in like 2 weeks because we've done everything for you. So that is a very valuable piece of information, or streamlining information is extremely valuable. Now, I don't think that that is the only thing you can do, because it took us 18 months to learn it. How are we going to make money during that? And so I have a business partner. This is why I don't think you should be a solopreneur, because info products go bad, and it takes a lot of time to learn that skill and have the right to sell one. So I have a business partner who's extremely technical, very smart. He's a developer, and we can build any software. And so I am just doing the most high leverage thing I can, creating content, and then funneling people that might be interested in this content. If they want to build software, we'll build it for them, basically.
So you have a business built on the back end too.
Yes, and since you're a personal brand, now you're the authority in the space. If I'm talking about smart contracts on YouTube, then all these big creators that are also wanting to do what we just did know for a fact that we've done that because they saw us launch it. We have the authority, we have the credibility, we're the one they're seeing because we're making content on it. And so now I basically became friends with all the biggest YouTube creators because they saw what we did, trusted that we could do it, and then hit us up on the back end saying, hey, help us with our software.
100%. But I think there's another subset of people who can be really great content creators who are simply not cut out, or at least maybe don't want to put the work in to become really qualified business operators, and who are solopreneurs, who maybe one day could launch a course, but in the meantime still need to monetize, which then brings me to the topic of sponsorships or promotions, things of this nature. So what are your thoughts on that side of the business?
So sponsorships are something that we recently started to accept, especially with the podcast. And it's going really great, but the sales process of that is also not simple. Like my job is creating content is a full-time job. It's no different than a 9 to 5. Like how much effort I have to put into making one video, I am spending a full week to make one video. And so that is a lot of time and effort. Now, for sponsors, you have to, one, find them. If you're big enough, you can have like your email in your bio and you'll get some inbound. And so like for me, like we will get like 10 to 15 sponsorship requests for the podcast every week. And so that's easier, but now I still need someone pitching them our prices, answering them questions, filling out contracts, sending them the Stripe, getting the ad read from them, then getting it shot, then getting that edited. So that is a lot of work as well. Yeah. But it pays well. But at the same time, I view an audience like, one, you want to make sure you're doing sponsorships that are actually like good products that is congruent with your audience. But two, at the same time, if you're starting your own business, you do need to be kind of aware that your audience has a market cap. Like this kind of a weird way to think about it. And I'm sorry if this feels inauthentic for people to watch my channel, real. But like every if you have 10,000 views, all those people have a certain amount of money in their bank account. And so your audience has a certain amount of money that can be distributed to your business or to your sponsors. And so if you're choosing sponsors, you are upfront taking the less risk because they're going to pay you, let's say $5,000 for one of my podcast spots. But at the same time, if it's a good sponsorship and it works, that could be taking $20K out of my audience's market cap. And since we have products on the back end coming in, it's okay, what is the balance of offering your product to your audience or offering the sponsorship? And so a lot of people will sell out their brand or their personal audience's market cap to sponsors, which is totally fine, but it's also a lot of work at the same time. So I think sponsors are great. A lot of big companies will pay a lot, and since it's not their money, they're actually way more willing to spend than you'd think. Like people are paying a lot for our podcast sponsors, and I don't know how they actually would get a direct ROI, but for the biggest companies, it's about brand awareness. And so they don't have to get a return immediately, but those podcasts do live forever and will rack up thousands of views for the rest of the life. So it's interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. One more question on the monetization front, because we have so many friends who are crushing it right now with this model, is the affiliate side of things. So it's kind of like sponsorships, but it's a little bit different. But you're promoting someone else's product. Do you think that's a viable model as well? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, like, if I don't want to build a business, but I know somebody who has a great one, that's kind of like having a business partner without actually having a business partner.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. Anytime anyone asks me like the best first business to start, is affiliate marketing, because for every business, there's a product and you have to sell the product. There's both 50-50. The product's 50% of it, selling it is 50% of it. So before you ever make a product, you should know how you're gonna sell it, because it's not gonna work. And so affiliate marketing is great because you already know it's a proven product, you know it works, but if you're not getting sales, it's because you're not good enough yet.
Yep.
And so if you are not making good enough content, you're not gonna get sales. And a lot of people will just try to protect their ego, say whatever, this company's offer's too low, no one's interested in it, it's cap. You're just not good enough at making content yet. And so affiliate's great because you get a good product and you can start practicing. All it is to make money online is post, put the link to the bio, they go to the website and buy. And so I've been doing the same thing for 8 years. Post, link, buy. Post, link, buy. And when you're running a social media marketing agency, now you're just split testing. If it's the headline on this website or the second headline on this website, 50% of the traffic goes each way. If 7 people will buy over here, 3 people will buy over here, this is a better headline. And you're just optimizing that every single week on every aspect. What is the call to action on the ad? What is the copy in the ad? What is the website? What is the offer? Is it a free shipping? Is it buy one, get one free? And you're just testing all of this. And the only thing you know in marketing is that you don't know anything until you've tested it. But the process is simple, and that's why affiliate marketing is great. You know the product works, all you have to do is post, put the link in your bio, and then they go buy. And then just rinse and repeat. Get better at content, get better at copy, get better at every aspect of it, and then eventually, in 3 or 4 years, once you become a skilled person, you'll make a lot of money. So affiliate marketing is the best way to do it if you're starting out. Now, as you grow, you might as well layer that into if you sell a course. Everyone does it with Shopify. They make these dropshipping courses. Shopify is the business you use to dropship. And so they can sell a course and then you throw in your affiliate link. Why would you not do that?
Of course. I mean, yeah, you and I both know a number of people that are doing literally millions of dollars a year with affiliate marketing. Like making more money with affiliate marketing than 99% of people do with their own businesses. So it is certainly a huge opportunity, but I think what you said is correct in that if you can create your own product and sell it and have affiliate marketing upsells, which are free sort of no-brainers incorporated into what you're doing, it's a win-win. But I think all this has been a pretty efficient playbook. Actually, you're pretty good at this. You've been doing it for a while. So my last question is, if I've sat through this whole video and maybe I'm ruminating a bit on what is my true self? What should I create content about? And I want to go get started. And I'm going to close my laptop after I watch this and go try and do one thing today to move in the right direction. What should I do to begin growing a brand?
Yeah. So first, self-reflection. Start within. Why do you want to make content? Do you want to be famous? Is it for some vain reason that you want to get clout? Because this is a professional sport. We are competing against, I'm competing in a way, competing against Iman. I'm competing against Luke. I'm competing against Alex Rosie. We're competing against each other. So it's very competitive. And so if you're going to try to be a content creator, I really do not think that you can be the CEO or COO of a business and be a full-time content creator. Hormozy is a full-time content creator. His wife runs the businesses. He can have input. He can do a few hour meetings, but he is sitting there for 6 hours a day writing his book. And then when he's writing his book, he can take what he's learning and then probably put that into a YouTube video because it's fresh. And then he can take those pieces of the video and then make a short form. But that is hours and hours. And the hardest thing about content creation is it's creativity. And you only have 3 or 4 hours of a day where you're really fresh and creative. And so there's no way that you could spend your best hours of the day running a business, managing people, making sure things are getting done, staying on top of things, and then just go be creative. If you're going to do content, I love learning. I spend 3 or 4 hours on YouTube every single day, and I have to cut myself off because I just love to learn, but I know that that's not productive enough, and then I'll go make content. But then I'm sitting there for 3 days straight, 6 hours a day, trying to reword this in the best, most helpful way to my audience. And so if you want to make content, that is your full-time job. You will make enough money off of YouTube ads to pay your bills, to make whatever you need to survive, and then any business you can build up in the background, that will pay the big money basically. So my really only advice is now is the best time to get started making content, because once AI is here, like Synthesia, all these AI avatars, AI companions are going to be really huge very soon. It's going to be almost impossible to stand out, because now people that are really good copywriters that never had the performance, that I'm just going to say it, a lot of the reason that a lot of personal brand people work is because they have a very similar look. They're all white, American accent, intelligent, decent looking, good on camera. The biggest people, it's a huge part of it. Ali Abdaal works really well because he was a doctor, good looking guy, friendly, you get a good vibe, you feel like he's authentic. And so that is a huge part of it. But now that AI is coming around and people who are savage copywriters that know psychology like the back of their hand, can tell stories better than anyone, can make up anything, now they just need an AI that looks good, that can present well, and now they just use their words. It's gonna get really competitive. And so the biggest thing is getting a seed audience. Once you get like your first 1,000 followers on YouTube, now you can make a video where enough people will see it that if your click-through rate's high enough and your view duration's high enough, it will go viral as long as you become skilled enough to make a video worthy of 1 million views.
That is a crazy thought, the AI avatars. I know a lot of people who are savage copywriters but cannot make a YouTube video save their life. So that'll change the game, but I love that. I think, the best time to start was yesterday. Second best time is today.
Oh yeah?
Brett, where can they keep up with you?
Brett Malinowski.
On every platform? At Brett Malinowski?
Yeah, YouTube's the best content though.
Okay, good. Guys, 100% shameless plug, good friend of mine, somebody who I've been watching go on this journey for literally years now, like 5-6 years, from running a video agency, shooting videos for local clubs in Kansas City to 500,000 on YouTube. Everything in this podcast I think is super authentic, super digestible, and literally the framework to grow our brand online. So Brett, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for coming on the channel, my friend.
Thank you.
And yeah, until next time, peace.